Hey YouTube Nation, coming at you again with some gardening progress in the house and some tips. Also, I'm starting to get stuff ready for the forge and for the bladesmithing I want to do. So if anybody has something that they want, feel free to reach out and give me a suggestion or make a comment to the video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos I produce, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment, why don't you? So first off, we got these. I'm not sure what the wood is exactly on these. If you know, feel free to post something in the comments saying what you think it is. But they look like they would make absolutely perfect knife handles, or maybe even save a couple of them for walking sticks. Like that one right there looks perfect. And I got a large 8-inch Quikrete tube. That's going to get used later, not the entire length, a much shorter piece of it, a very short piece for when I go ahead and make my own forging furnace. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. And got some Portland cement, some potting soil here. And as you can see here, there are some cinder blocks that I picked up. And these are going to help in terms of making a reinforced concrete base and structure for my anvil to go on. I still need to pick up some things for that. I need to pick up some concrete other than just the Portland cement. That's not going to be strong enough on its own, and I need to pick up a little bit of rebar still. But before I can pick up that rebar, I need a way to cut it, because rebar is not fitting in the van. That is just not going to happen. So, as always, I've got some stuff coming in. This over here by the fence, unfortunately, this is in a really bad place, and it's going to have to come out, but it makes me so sad because that is a peach tree. I have no idea how it got there. We did have some really small peaches. I didn't think that they were large enough for something to, eat them and deposit the pits somewhere, but I'm guessing some industrious little squirrel stole one of the larger pieces and pieces of fruit off of one of the existing trees and decided to eat it and ditch the pit here by the fence. So, as you can tell, it's very definitely dandelion season, and we cut these, and the next day, they sprout right back up, and they're everywhere, and we look like Joe Blow the Ragman lives in our house. That was something that my company commander used to say all the time in boot camp. You look like Joe Blow the Ragman! It was usually followed by us attempting to push planet Earth out of its orbit. This is our latest edition, and as you can see, it may look very similar, but yeah, how about that? A semi-dwarf cherry, early Richmond tree. This is a really good tree for our area. I'm in northern Illinois, and this tree is self-pollinating, so I don't have to have another tree to go with it for it to produce and bear fruit. We are probably going to add at least one more tree somewhere in here between this tree. I've made sure to leave quite a few feet. I really don't mind if some roots go under the driveway, because frankly they're not that big. It's not going to be like this tree over here, which was some sort of like enormously tall maple or something, and it deformed the sidewalk when it fell in that bad storm. This isn't going to do that, and as long as I've got a good 12.5 feet, it won't grow large enough to do any sort of damage anywhere. And then we went We got some annuals, we got some perennials, and we planted them all here. I'm not going to go over everything. This, you can barely see it. It's so covered with dirt. And this over here, this is a form of thyme that should start to displace the grass and grow into the yard. It won't ever get tall enough that it has to be mowed, and you can step on it and it won't necessarily die. We're not going to step on it. We're going to try to give it a chance to establish itself. And then here under the mulch, you can't really see it next to the, in front of the daylilies here. These are all daylilies that just haven't flowered yet. But before we put the mulch down, I could see a bunch of my gladioles survived and are coming up. Here's our beautiful magnolia. Nice, pretty purplish colors. This thing sprang up out of nowhere. That's comfrey or comfrey. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. This is another victim of unfortunate planting. What this is this is a, oh goodness, I'm sorry, I'm misremembering the name, but it's a white mulberry, I believe it is. A white mulberry tree. Unfortunately, it's literally right in the concrete. I'm not sure. I think we're probably going to have to remove that. We've got some stumps we need to take out. Here we've got, this is one of my, this is another daylily, I think, but in front of it is, or rather behind it, I should say, is one of my rose bushes. And as you can see, this one's coming back very nicely. I planted this one 2 years ago, and this is more of that comfrey that's growing here wild. We're probably going to remove that. In addition to which, over here we have the rose tree that I planted last year, and I'm going to zoom in on this. You can see that it is absolutely starting to sprout some leaves and some greenage. And then right next to this stump, we've got another helicopter tree growing, another maple. That's going to definitely have to come out because way too close to the house. That would absolutely do structural damage. It's sad. I don't like killing trees. I prefer to keep trees. Cindy has absolutely no problem with ripping those little suckers right out of the ground and throwing them in the gutter because she's a plant sociopath. Anyway, as you can see, the grass here is actually starting to come back. One of the things we're thinking about doing through here, but not close enough to the house to interfere with the gutters, I have some black bamboo coming that we're going to try to sprout from seed and get that to grow. And I'm trying to find some places where instead of having a huge monstrosity like this tree, which is frankly not doing well. I don't know if it has some sort of like ash borer's disease or something, but it's really not very healthy looking, and it's going to be really expensive to remove. The quotes that I've gotten so far are in the range of $800, probably because it's not a single tree. As you can see here, there's actually two stumps coming out of the base in the ground, and then they intertwine. One of them is somewhat healthy, one of them is really not terribly healthy, and as a result, I'm really worried that in another really awful storm like we had, is this going to come down on the roof and smash our home to bits? So we'd really like to avoid that. It's not what we're looking for. We kind of like living here, and if we're not going to live here, we'd kind of like to be able to sell the place. Oh, how much is that doggy in the window? Okay, I won't subject you to any more of my singing, but Boggle, he's a half Boston Terrier, half Beagle. All right, one of my neighbors is apparently doing some sort of yard work. I'll try to get far enough away from this. Gotta love that fence. All right, so in here, we've got our gardens going pretty well. Things are planted. These onions are coming back. As you can see here, I've got, for the third year now, I've got strawberries coming back. And this didn't work out for strawberries, but I planted some mint. So hopefully that mint is gonna do well. And in here we've got the occasional flower, plus tomato plants. This is year 2 for the asparagus, and as you can see, both the green and the purple asparagus is doing really well. Some more flowers, some pepper plants. These are onions. This is the third year those onions have come back completely on their own. I planted them once, never had to plant them again. Tomatoes and flowers. And this is the remains of our poor tree here, which you can see had a lot of rot. If you compare it to past videos, you'll see that we had to take quite a bit of it down, including some unfortunately healthy tissue that was just not in a great place. And then these are basil. We also have kind of a basil bush-like plant that we're going to be planting this year. We're not 100% sure where that's going to go yet. We signed up for free mulch, so this area that's grown, completely, totally wild, you may recognize as being where last year we had the all of the corn and the beans and the squashes, and I had some wild sage, and we've got some more trees coming up here too. Those are also those mulberries. So those are probably, unfortunately, going to have to go just because they're so close to the foundation. Why can't they plant, why can't the squirrels drop one of those seeds or pits in the middle of the yard somewhere where the tree can grow and I don't have to move it? I don't know what's up with that. This is mostly another rose bush. There's something else that it's entwined in. I'm not 100% sure what that is. But I like these roses. I just don't like where they are. So one of the things I'm going to be doing this year is I got some rooting hormone, and I'm going to be taking some cuttings, and from the cuttings I'm going to plant several more rose bushes. And the stars of the show here are the existing peach trees. As you can see, they're doing really well. And we've also still got our plums. We planted these last year. All 5 of these, actually, we planted last year. So those are coming out really nice. We still haven't gotten to this bed. One of the things that I really want to do, we're going to move this bed. This fence is really badly in need of repair, right? As you can see, I've got it like pulled back and pushed forward to lock it into place because at least 2 of these posts have failed. And I don't know if they're broken or if they've simply dug the ground loose where their cement was. And I haven't had the time or frankly the money to effect a repair. It really sucks being out of a job. Things seem to be picking up. We seem to be starting to possibly emerge into a post-COVID world. And hopefully that means gainful employment for me in the future so that I can pay people to do this. And then the other project I'm thinking about doing, as you can see, right, we've got bedroom windows on this side of the house. What I'd like to do is I'd like to push this forward all the way to the start of where that other window is, and that's actually my room, my and Cindy's room, I should say. But I want to push that forward, and I want to use the space in between, which is, 2/3 dead grass and 1/3 new grass. I'm going to get rid of all that. I want to put in a Zen rock garden and a koi pond and have a little chair and a nice place to just sit and chill out, meditate, read, catch a little bit of sun. And then in the space near the fence away from the house, I've got some black bamboo coming that we're going to be attempting to germinate and get that to sprout. And hopefully, we're gonna obviously have to lock it in place with something. We'll probably have to dig down a couple of feet and impose some sort of artificial barrier, because otherwise bamboo is very invasive and it will take over your lawn, your neighbor's lawn, your neighborhood, being stopped only by the street. Last but not least, here's another rose, which you can see we've done absolutely no maintenance with. This is all last year's dead growth. And again, this thing is not in a good place. This is not where we want this, next to all of the electrical and cable connections and, the air conditioner. This is not ideal. But once these get a little bit taller, I plan to take several cuttings from them again. And from those cuttings, I'm going to make several brand new rose bushes. So I'd honestly like to have a dozen in all. And by this time next year, after taking care of them indoors, be able to plant them and have a nice hedge of plants. Now, some other things that are coming that I haven't shown you yet because they're not out there are we have some additional blackberry plants that we bought, and I plan to go get a few more, and we're going to plant those in front of the black railing in the front of the house so that they'll creep up all along that and hopefully form a large solid mass of green that drops berries. And then we can harvest those. You can use those in your food, your cereal, your oatmeal. You can give them to friends. You can brew with them. There's no end to what you can do with that. Oh, the only thing I really didn't show you is this here. This is Bee Balm. And we're really glad that the Bee Balm is coming back on its own as well, because that is going to be a huge help with pollinating all of the tomatoes and the peppers and everything we're trying to grow over here to actually have as a food source. And then these here, mulberries again. I'm just so sad that we're going to have to remove them because of where they are right next to the fence. And I know where they're coming from. There's a giant mulberry that's in my next door neighbor's yard. So that's where we're getting those from. We'll get more. Hopefully we'll catch one sooner the next time and be able to transplant it. My transplanted peach trees and the cutting I took, they look awful, but this is normal. When you move a tree or when you take a cutting, it's normal for it to start to die back. So I'm still watering these once a week. Hopefully they make it. If they don't, they don't. It's not like I won't have more. And then here's some of the plants that we haven't planted yet. This is that basil I was talking about. And then these sticks here are the blackberry that we're going to start with. I'm going to get some more. I was over at Home Depot getting a few things that I couldn't get at Menards. And they had some amazing, wonderful, very lusciously full green blueberry plants. So we're going to probably take advantage of that at some point here in the not too distant future. Excuse me. Allergies. Took a 24-hour allergy pill and a 4-hour allergy pill. My throat's still very scratchy. Modern medicine. Live a little more comfortably, just not perfectly. And those are going to go over here along this black railing. The hope being that, you know, this will also, in addition to being a food source, will just be decorative and pretty, and should wind its way through the sort of faux wrought iron here. I'm not even 100% sure what this stuff is. Came with the house. It's not my favorite. So we're going to hide it with trees and plants and nature. All right, and we'll probably put one over here as well once we get rid of this. Like I said, I think it's called comfrey. This video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to go ahead and call it here. But yeah, that's the tour so far. Yep, that's going to have to go. And so's that. So that's where we're at, YouTube. If you like this video, as always, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell in order to get notifications for all new videos that I post to the channel. Hopefully next time, these yuccas will have experienced some growth. Despite her best attempts to kill them, my lovely spouse has fortunately not killed my yucca plants. It's like a little small part of home that I really enjoy having in my yard. Until next time, have a good one.